A guttural, terrified bark pierced the stillness of the early dawn. A scruffy dog broke free from the back of a battered semi-truck, rattling down the empty highway like a rolling nightmare. Blood and grime smeared its fur as it stumbled, shaking off the cage bars to chase after the roaring motorbikes behind it. The riders ahead barely caught the glimpse of the dog, eyes wide in disbelief. "Did you see that? That dog just ran off a truck," snarled Cole, the club's sergeant-at-arms, gripping the handlebars tighter. Jesse, president of the Black Talons Motorcycle Club, didn't hesitate. "Stop the fucker!" The thunderous engine slowed and swerved as the convoy of midnight riders pulled over, boots hitting the wet asphalt. The dog limped to the roadside, desperate for help but too weak to stand fully. Blood dripped from its muzzle. A sudden shout came from behind the truck. "Get back here! You don't belong on the road!" Two burly men emerged, dragging cages labeled with crude logos and smeared in dirt. Inside, dozens of terrified dogs yelped and banged against rusty bars. Jesse's jaw clenched. "This ain't animal transport. This is torture," he muttered, voice rough like gravel. The sun hadn't risen, but the air felt heavy like a storm was about to break, and the Black Talons were the lightning striking first. Cole pulled out his phone, typing rapid messages while eyes never left the truck. "Cops are 2 clicks back, but the truck is speeding up. We gotta catch 'em." Ruby, a wildfire of determination and the club's vet, knelt beside the injured dog. "Look at this. It's brutal. These poor things are barely alive." When one of this first 710 rebid, the convoy roared back to life, engines screaming in vengeance. The chase was on. Jesse's heart pounded as the chase led them through winding mountain roads and fading back roads. The dog's desperate barking drove them faster, the truck weaving dangerously between vehicles. "Losing them, Jesse," Cole shouted through the radio. "Hold steady," Jesse growled. "We're not letting this go." Suddenly, a cloud of dust erupted ahead as the truck slammed through a dirt embankment, tearing apart a deserted quarry entrance. "Last chance coming up," Ruby said, revving her bike. "If we don't trap them here, they vanish." A tense silence hung over the riders as they approached the quarry. Jesse's fingers tapped the handlebars rhythmically, nerves coiling like the spring of a trap. Then, from the shadows, the truck burst into view with a roar, slamming into the gravel pit. 3 men jumped down, barking orders at their prisoners, and Jesse glimpsed broken limbs, bleeding muzzles, and eyes glazed with fear among the caged dogs. "Everyone off your bikes," Jesse commanded, voice as hard as cold steel. The riders obeyed without hesitation. Ruby helped the injured dog to its feet, while Cole and others surrounded the truckmen. "Where the hell do you think you're going?" Jesse demanded, stepping forward. One of the men sneered. "This ain't your business, bikers. Keep out." Ruby's eyes flashed. "These animals have more life than you'll ever know," she said quietly. "We're not leaving until they're safe." An argument erupted, tense and volatile. The truckmen refused to hand over the cages, threatening escalation. Suddenly, from the back of the truck, a cage door flew open. Another dog bolted, limping toward safety. Dogs howled. Cages rattled. The line between control and chaos blurred. Jesse made a decision. "Cole, call the cops," he barked. But before the phone could be raised, one of the men lunged at Jesse, swinging a metal pipe. Ruby sprang into action, tackling the man down, her veterinary knife flashing as she defended the injured animals. The fight was fast, gritty, raw. By the time sirens wailed in the distance, the truckmen were subdued, some bruised, others nursing wounds. The police arrived, cuffing the men and securing the cages. But their eyes told a different story, a mix of admiration and wary respect for the ragtag biker gang who had stormed the illegal dogfight transport. Ruby whispered to Jesse, "This isn't just a rescue, it's a message." As dawn broke fully behind the mountains, the Black Talons rounded up the rescued dogs, loading them into their pickups and trailers. The last cage held the biggest dog, a massive brindle pit bull whose eyes told a story of scars and survival. Jesse knelt beside her. "You're coming home with us." Later that day, as the story hit social media and news feeds, the Black Talons rescue became a viral sensation. People shared videos of the chase, the fight, the battered dogs, and the biker heroes who risked everything for the forgotten. But this was only the beginning. Jesse lit a cigarette, watching the dogs settle in the makeshift shelter the club had set up. "They think we're just thugs," he said to Ruby. Ruby smiled softly. "Let them keep thinking that. Sometimes it takes a little thunder to wake the world up." As the sun climbed higher, the fight to shut down the underworld dogfighting ring was just heating up, and the Black Talons were ready to ride hard. That night, a cryptic message appeared on the club's encrypted channel. "You save some, but the ring runs deeper. Next move is on you." Jesse's eyes hardened. "We're not backing down." The cryptic message weighed heavy on Jesse's mind as he flicked the cigarette butt into the growing shadows. The underground dogfighting ring wasn't just a local nuisance, it was a sprawling beast stretching across state lines, with tendrils gripping corrupt officials, shadowy middlemen, and ruthless enforcers. For the Black Talons, this was no longer just a rescue, it was war. Ruby's phone buzzed as she checked the message again. "You saved some, but the ring runs deeper. Next move is on you." She looked up. The fireside flicker threw fierce shadows across her face. "We need allies," she said. "This isn't something we can take down alone." Jesse nodded, his fingers tightening around his glass of bourbon. "Start reaching out. Volunteer groups, animal control, any clean cops left." The days blurred into nights. Media coverage exploded, and with it, pressure to act. Dogs recovered slowly at the makeshift shelter, each muzzle, each broken leg, a story of horror and survival. Lila, a golden retriever mix found cradled by Ruby, stared up with eyes filled with gratitude and pain. Jesse held her close one night. "We'll make this right, girl, I promise." But the ring's retaliation came faster than expected. One morning, the roadhouse was shrouded in an unnatural silence, broken only by the crunch of shattered glass underfoot. Ruby's truck was slashed, tires shredded. A crude message scratched into the metal, "Back off or next is everything." The message was clear. Cole, ever the loyal fist of the club, slammed his hand on the table. "They want to fight," he growled. "Let's give it to them on our terms." Jesse shook his head, voice low but hard. "No unnecessary bloodshed. We're fighters, not thugs. The ring runs with guns and knives. They start that fight, they lose it." That night, undercover calls connected Ruby with an informant deep inside the dog-fighting underworld. The tip was hauntingly specific. A major shipment of dogs was due in 2 nights at a remote warehouse on the edge of town. "This is it," Ruby said, tension threading her voice. "The ring's heart." Preparations began in earnest. The Black Talons called a meeting, and allies gathered animal rescue groups, veterinarians, even a few brave local cops. Jesse mapped out the plan. "We hit fast. We hit hard. No one gets hurt except the ring." The night of the raid, engines rumbled quietly, voices low with anticipation. The warehouse was a cavernous nightmare, metal cages stretching end to end, stench thick as smoke. Dogs barked nervously, some broken and trembling. Inhuman sounds echoed, growls, yelps, and the crack of fists. The Black Talons moved like shadows. Ruby led first, her vet skills switching on full throttle as she assessed injured canines while others intercepted guards. Suddenly, floodlights blazed on. The ring's enforcers poured in, faces twisted with rage. Gunshots rang out. Chaos erupted. Gunfire ricocheted, glass shattered, snarls from dogs cutting through the night. Jesse ducked behind a crate as Cole fought off 2 men with bare-knuckle ferocity. Ruby worked frantically to calm a terrified mother dog nursing her pups. "It's okay, girl," she whispered. "You're safe now." But then, a chilling scream, one of betrayal. From the shadows emerged a figure Jesse instantly recognized. Tracy, a volunteer from the rescue group who had been feeding intel to the ring. "Shit," Jesse cursed. "Trap." Tracy's eyes shone cruelly. "You never should have come here." The ambush tightened, escape routes cut off. Jesse barked orders, heart racing. "Split and regroup at the rear entrance." "Ruby, get those dogs out." The firefight pushed the bad guys back, but Tracy's treachery cost dearly. One rider was caught in a brutal melee. With grit and desperation, the Black Talons fought through the chaos. Ruby loaded injured dogs into transport cages as the rest secured a path through the flurry of fists and gunpowder. Jesse led the final push, crashing through the last door with Cole beside him. The ring's kingpin, a cold-eyed man named Vince, stood waiting, weapon raised. "Into the line," Vince said, voice icy. Jesse stepped forward, muscles tense. "This is for every dog you hurt." A fierce brawl erupted, punches flying, bodies slamming against concrete. In the melee, Jesse wrestled the weapon away and pinned Vince firmly. Police sirens neared. The Black Talon's raid was complete. Over 150 dogs were rescued, many beyond saving, but the majority alive and healing. The ring's leaders were arrested, thanks to the evidence seized during the operation, the chipping device logs, the brutal fight footage, and Tracy's confession. Trial brought justice. In the weeks that followed, the community's perception of the Black Talons transformed. The leather-clad, tattooed gang of outlaws was now guardians of the voiceless. Pups found homes, some with club members who took on the role of protectors beyond the road. Ruby started a foundation with donated funds to care for the survivors. Jesse stood by the shelter's fence one evening as the sun dipped below the horizon. A gentle breeze carried the barks and whines of healing souls. Turning to Ruby, he said, "We showed them what real justice looks like, and we're just getting started." The scars on the dogs mirrored the scars on the riders, proof of battles fought in the shadows. But like every rider knows, pain is only a reminder of life lived fiercely. If you believe in defenders who rise in the darkest hours and justice carved from thunder and steel, like, share, and subscribe. Because sometimes the fiercest warriors wear leather not for violence, but to carry the heavy burden of mercy.
If you believe in defenders who rise in the darkest hours, in justice carved from thunder and steel, share and subscribe. Because sometimes the fiercest warriors wear leather not for violence, but to carry the heavy burden of mercy.